Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. I'm your host, Reed Hansen, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Erica Dill, founder of Operationally Up, a consultancy dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and small business owners escape the overwhelm of running their businesses by creating systems that actually work. Erica is a master at building operational frameworks at scale, turning chaos into clarity, and giving founders the freedom to focus on growth instead of getting stuck in the weeds. With her background in project management, workflow design, and leadership coaching, she helps businesses streamline operations so they can thrive without burning out. If you've ever felt like your business is running you instead of the other way around, this episode is going to be a game changer. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me, Reed. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So tell us the backstory. You're the founder of Operationally Up. What inspired you to start this business, and what gap in the market did you want to fill?
Absolutely. One of my favorite topics. So, I've been a senior executive leader in operational management for consumer goods and e-commerce companies for about 15 years. And I have always kind of done some consultancy on the side, especially because there's smaller companies that really need help, that just can't afford a full-time COO, nor do they need a full-time COO, but they're in desperate need of process improvements. The owners are trying to build their own supply chains, they're trying to do their own sourcing, and they're building for scalability, but they have no idea how to do that. And that's where I really saw the opportunity to help those smaller businesses. And I've worked in, mid-sized companies, so I know what it takes to scale to $100 million. And those small businesses, maybe the 5, the 10, the $15 million companies, they want to get there, but they just don't have the systems in place. And kind of as you alluded in your wonderful intro of me, the businesses are running the business leaders and they don't know how to get out of the weeds. And that's where I can bring the operational magic.
That's awesome. So what do you think were the experiences that shaped your approach? Did you intend to be a project manager, project management expert or operations expert right from the get-go? Or did you see something in early in your career where you felt really compelled to help businesses this way?
It's really funny. My origin story is kind of comical. I'll put it in a nutshell. I graduated college, and like so many, I'm wandering around going, well, I graduated with business management. What business do I manage? And so you got to get your foot in the door somewhere. So I got an EA job, what ended up being my very first consumer goods startup. They're a tiny $2 million company. And I walked in the door and I saw it. I saw the lack of inventory management and inventory systems. I saw that they had no production lines. I just saw all of these things and I kind of just started doing them. And the owner was like, this is great. Keep going. And I ended up building their very first international supply chain team, sourcing and manufacturing overseas, manufacturing here in the United States. And took them from $2 million to $54 million in 4.5 years and fell in love and said, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Well, that's really cool. And I've not really of that mindset. Does seem like you maybe were born for this, or have an instinct for it. And I have a few people in my life that have similar instincts, and I'm very grateful for those people like that just seem to crave order, that like really look at the details and keep our world running smoothly. So
we all have our niches.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, I think people are going to be inspired by hearing about businesses that you said you've scaled up to $100 million plus, which is really exciting. And I think if more small and medium-sized businesses really embrace that vision or had that hope, I think they'd be ecstatic. What do you see as some of the most common obstacles that that you're working with a new business that might hold them back from real growth?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of things that I know as soon as I walk into a business, almost every single business has. The biggest one is documented processes.
Mm.
So if you feel like you're reinventing the wheel every day and you're having to answer the same questions about what to do next, the team members are stepping, kind of stumbling, trying to figure out where they go next or doing the wrong steps, it's probably because you don't have the right documentation for your systems. And everybody's like, I don't have time to stop and document every process. But if you look at the amount of time wasted and inefficiencies with people not knowing what to do next, skipping steps, skipping important steps, believe me, it's worth it. And I always tell people that documentation and process improvement is one bite of the elephant at the time. Don't sit down and say, I'm going to document every single process in my company off the bat. Take a department, have the actual team members who are doing the business write down those steps and go from there. Because if you get the team involved, they have some sense of ownership in the process, and you end up making the work instructions and the SOPs so much faster and of better quality. So that's probably the biggest one. The second minor one I'll touch on quickly. It's picking systems and processes that can scale. A lot of times companies are like, I just need something right now. I just need it to solve this one little problem. But if you pick that solution, that software or that system or that process to solve that problem right now, you're missing the bigger picture and you're going to have to redo that work later on. So if you sit down, look at a business plan, look at 3 to 5 years, where are you going? Which I know it takes time, but
Mhm.
it's going to save you so much headache because you can pick that system that's going to scale with you over the next 3 to 5 years. And taking a few minutes to think it through ahead of time and pick the right solution for you is actually going to be an incredibly time saving on the long term. And that's where people kind of get tripped up.
Okay. Okay. Now, you've mentioned supply chain is a place where an international supply chain, a place where you've seen a lot of success. Uh, do you think these principles apply? Traditionally when we're thinking about a COO, they're working on the supply chain, they're working on the logistics, but um, they're, they're often doing much, much more. What
Mhm.
other lines of business do you think really benefit from process, or where the low hanging fruit in the
That's
process
I'm
part?
so glad you asked because people are always like, oh, you're in manufacturing, you're in consumer goods, you just do production assembly lines, you just do supply chain. And what people fail to realize is that these process improvements in these systems are company wide.
Yeah.
Look at your finance department. Are you processing invoices the same way every day? Is there consistency in how you're doing it? Are you treating all of your vendors or your customers the same way in that process? Look at your marketing department. If you're producing social media ads, if you're producing media content, whether that's print or video, do you have a brand guide? Do you have the processes in place so that the person creating those social media posts is following the brand, the colors, the system, the approval process? All of that is documentation and systems that need to happen in a business that have nothing to do with supply chain or manufacturing. And you can really carry that theme through the whole thing. So, for those of you listening, if you've got a service-based business, if you have maybe it's a B2B product, it doesn't matter. You can benefit from system development and process improvement and documentation.
That's really good advice, and I think that where my business has had process in place, that's the part of the business that's doing really well. And where we're reinventing the wheel each time is where it seems like we're spending the most of our time. And I think that's a great thing to focus on as a leader. But leaders, of course, get pulled in a lot of different directions, and um, I know that as a business leader myself that I need to delegate where I can, and do it effectively. Where do you think is the balance of I should do it myself? I'm the business owner, I'm the business leader, I need to be accountable, and I need to make sure this is done at the quality I want. And where should I delegate? What do you have like a good framework or rule of thumb on how those decisions should be made?
Okay, I'm going to try not to get on my soapbox here. But this is one of the things that I see time after time when I walk into smaller businesses because they are one person shows.
Mhm.
That business owner has started their baby from scratch and they're carrying it through. And sometimes it's hard to let go of different tasks, but you really have to do that if you're going to scale. So, one of the things that I walk through and exercise is a Venn diagram,
Hmm.
and I put three overlapping circles. One is, what does the owner like to do? One is, what is the owner good at doing? And the third is, what is the business need? And where all three of those overlap, that's where the business owner should be focusing their time. And the rest of those tasks is what needs to be delegated. There's no need for the business owner to be doing tasks that they hate, that they disdain, or that they're not good at.
Mhm.
That's where I help them to find other people, valued team members who can take on these tasks and probably do a better job, which is okay because that's what building a business is all about. And that's what having a team is all about, is finding your strengths and supporting them. It's hard. I have to walk through with owners all the time about how to kind of let go and delegate and get comfortable in that uncomfortableness. But that's really how your systems are going to scale.
Okay. So here's a subset of that question. Now you've worked internet
Mm.
with international supply chains, and within the delegation equation, there are a few different decisions to be made. You're delegating a task that maybe you're not good at or don't want to do, and so it's probably not best for the business that the owner's occupied with that. But you can outsource it to a consultant or a vendor. You can hire somebody with that expertise or bandwidth. And that could be like a local person that you see face to face, or it could be a remote employee, or it could even be a international employee where you benefit from um, the costs of the currency difference, but you have some other risks. Sorry, I've asked a very complicated question, but delegation usually comes down to one of those four things. And actually, I'll add a fifth. There are now AI agents that do a lot of tasks like that. Do you have a metric for deciding between those different possibilities?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no secret big easy button when it
Mhm.
comes to figuring that out. I myself still have clients that we're working with, like, oh, which is better?
Mhm.
Um, the thing that I would just encourage companies to look at is, what is it that they truly need? Put it down on paper, and what is of value to them, and start with that. I have put in AI systems that don't take over jobs because you can't take over the job, but they help the person in the job. And sometimes it's that pairing of the two.
Mhm.
A big misconception that I warn people about is when they do outsource work, to whether it's an agency or a consultancy, those people still have to be managed. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, I'm just going to outsource it to an agency and they're going to take care of it and I can walk away." I see it all the time with like marketing companies.
Mhm.
That's not true. You still have to manage that company. So if the benefit is like, "Oh, I'm going to outsource it to an agency and therefore I don't have to manage it," don't put that into the equation because that's the wrong approach. You still need to manage that team. Overseas employees are wonderful. I've always worked in international teams. The thing that comes to international team members and remote team members is that there is a different skill set
Mhm.
to managing them as opposed to managing somebody that you can see face to face in person. So make sure that you're aware of the different skill set and how to build rapport and how to build connection via a remote platform. Some business owners just aren't comfortable with that. So there is that skill set that you have to learn. So those are kind of some things that you should think about and weigh in as you're trying to decide which route to go.
Yeah, uh, that's very helpful, and um, I think a lot of businesses are weighing these possibilities, and yeah, there's pluses and minuses to each approach, and also just feels like circumstances are changing. Like there,
Yeah.
on one hand, it's like the population of people that are fluent in English is way increased, and
Mm-hmm.
the technical skills are all over the world. It's not limited to people that go to elite universities. It's very there's just many people that possess those skills, and AI is getting much better, and
Mm-hmm.
so many options. Well, maybe we could drill into a specific one. And I thought this was a great idea when we were talking earlier. You and I are both podcasters, and you have, I've learned that you've even taught a course on operationalizing your podcast process. I'd love to hear about that. Talk about like first I see as a marketer that podcasting is a tremendous channel, low barrier to entry, but very authentic and very engaging. And I would love to do more of it. And but there's several steps. It can be kind of complicated with
Yeah.
all the steps. How do you operationalize that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I operationalize every process that I touch. So, when I decided to start a podcast, of course, the first thing I did was how do I automate most of this?
Yeah.
I was told when I was thinking of starting one, you have to get, a company that can produce your podcast. You have to do something. I'm like, that sounds really expensive. And there are some fantastic companies that will produce your podcast out there for you. But I was kind of dipping my toe in the water and I was like, oh, I don't want to commit and spend money if it's not something that I'm going to be doing long term. So I was like, I got to be able to figure out how to do this myself. And I did. I was able to get my podcast down. I can produce an episode from recording to finish in less than 2 hours, and it costs me $50 a month.
Wow.
So if anyone out there is like, oh, I can't do it, it's too much, I guarantee anybody can have their own podcast. It does take work.
Yeah.
So some of the steps that I've automated in it is I have a Google form
Hmm.
that collects all of my potential guests' headshots, information, bios, how they want to be introduced, where they want me to point the call to action to. So I just send a form link and it collects everything for me and it dumps it into a spreadsheet so that I can refer back to it. I use Riverside for all of my
Okay.
recording. It just like Descript, which is spoiler alert, what we're using now. They both are great systems at automating things. So you create those 1 minute magic clips or trailers, and both have this amazing ability. You click a button and it makes 10 of them. Back in the day, you'd have to go through and like edit each and every single one.
Mhm.
And there are systems out there that, are standalone systems that'll do that. But I found that the system in Riverside and Descript is you're already there and you're already paying for it. You might as well use it.
Yeah.
Of course, I use Calendly for booking all of my meetings, even the actual recording episode, so they can pick a time on my calendar. And then I write a loose script for all of my podcast guests, so they know kind of what we're going over. I turn that episode into an article. I write 4 to 5 LinkedIn posts about it with the little 1 minute trailers. And spoiler, I do it all using AI. ChatGPT and I are besties. And it's not perfect. Obviously, you have to go through and do the editing. You can't just like throw it in, copy paste, copy paste. But I am an ops person. I am not a writer. I went to school for business, not literature. So I definitely need help when it comes to wordsmithing things. And I just have found that AI has been a fantastic tool I put all of my thoughts, all of my prompts. You have to be a very good prompt writer to get what you want the first time. So I have a catalog of prompts that I use depending on the situation. That way I don't have to write the prompts new every single time that I go to do it. I just copy and paste and put in information in it. And I have Canva to do all of my graphics. So I've set up templates in Canva and I just have drop in titles, dates, headshots, and it's all the same template and everything is there. So all in $50 a month, 2 hours for recording, editing, and posting. So anybody can really do it.
That's awesome. Really impressive. Do you mind if I ask how many you post a month, or how many you produce a month?
Yeah, so I do 2 a month
Okay.
because apparently I still need to work to eat. So I can't
Yeah.
be a full-time podcaster yet. Um, but so I do an episode every other week. And that I have found is the good cadence for me. Everybody, some people are like twice a week and that works for them. They normally have a team at that point. But I like to give each one of my episodes enough marketing time and enough like intro. So I spend
Mm,
1 week hyping it up and,
nice.
getting the word out there and giving the marketing content. And then the next week it's a little bit of hype and post the episode. And so that cadence really works for me.
That's fantastic. Well, I have really enjoyed this, and I think, Erica, you were born for this, and I think I would recommend you to anybody in a small and medium sized business that really wants to level up, free up their time to and grow their business. I think having somebody like you engaged would greatly improve things. For listeners that want to work with you, where are the best ways to connect and find you?
First of all, it's so kind of you to say that, Reed. Thank you. Second of all, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. It's just Erica Dill, Dill like the pickle. And you can also find me at Erica at operationallyup.com. Pretty easy to find. I'd be happy to talk. And I love listening to stories and giving actionable advice. So if you just want to have a quick phone call and talk through a problem, I'm not going to charge you. I'm happy to do it for free. It's a hobby as well as a life career.
Well, thanks so much, Erica.
Thank you so much, Reed. It's been a pleasure.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.